guys, Steve here from Blossom Racing, coming to you with another video from Blossom Racing. Here we're just going to talk about weights. Weights on your polar clutch. So here is an example of one of the weights. This weight is a 6-gram weight. They come in 3 grams, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9-gram weights. So we get a lot of questions of what these weights actually do. So here I am, hopefully going to try to explain it to you the best way that I can on what these weights actually do. So the more weights, we're going to talk, let's go from like 3-gram weights up to 8-gram weights. So if I do that, what can I expect to happen with my car? Okay, so here's what's going to happen. Your reaction time is going to speed up slightly, not very much. So if I go from 3 grams to 8 grams, right, my reaction time is going to pick up a touch, maybe a few hundredths. Not a whole lot. So don't expect changing your ramps, changing your weights to affect your reaction time a lot. If you're 0.020, right, and you want to speed up a reaction a little bit, just a touch, you can go bigger with weights. But you got to be careful with weights. So if I go from 3-gram weights to 8-gram weights, it's going to change how hard the motor is loading. So going from 3 to 8, when I put the 8-gram weights on, which is going to be a total of 16 grams, it's going to load the motor a lot harder, a lot quicker. What do I mean by load it harder? So it's going to take more of the horsepower from the motor and apply it to the clutch, and then the clutch transfers it to the rear tires. So if I have the 3-gram weights, what happens is the horsepower transfers to the clutch, and then the clutch does not transfer all that horsepower to the wheels. It just allows the belt to sit there and spin. So if you put more weight on your arms, it's going to load it a lot harder. You got to remember, there's a lot of other things with a clutch that come into play. The angle of the ramps, which we'll talk about later. All right, had to take a phone call there. Back at it. So the angle of the ramps also come into play. We'll talk about that later, but we're going to harp on the weights pretty much today. Also, the tension of the secondary clutch comes into play. But let's just talk about the weights on the primary clutch, just to discuss, what you're going to get. So we'll go back to changing from 3-gram weights to 9 or 8-gram weights. So when you make that transition, it's going to lower your engagement RPMs. Your RPMs are going to drop down lower. It's going to load your motor a lot harder because it's going to take more of the power of the motor, transfer it to the clutch, and then transfer it to the secondary. Why do I say that? It'll transfer it to the rear wheels. It's also, as you're going down track, it is going to shift sooner. So let's say you were shifting at 60 feet. If you go with the heavier weights, it's going to shift at 30 feet. So that early shift is what's going to bring your RPMs down. Some problems that I've seen with too heavy of weights on your car. Car takes off and it has a real bad stumble, just kind of sounds like it's leaving in second gear, falls on its face, does a little pop-pop, you know, um, and that can be caused from having too much weight on your arms. Of course, again, there's a lot of other things. There's electrical issues, carburetor issues, other things that can come into play. So the first thing you got to do is diagnose what the problem actually is. Is it a loading problem, a clutch problem, a carburetor problem, or the dreaded electrical problem? Those are always a pain in the butt to figure out. Um, so that brings us there. And so if you're having that problem when you're hitting the gas pedal, car takes off, that reacts quick, carburetor's doing what it's supposed to be doing, electrical's doing what it's supposed to be doing, but the car just falls on its nose. One of the issues that it could be too heavy of weights. You're just taking too much of the horsepower, transferring it to the clutch, to the rear tires. You're basically loading the motor too hard. So in that aspect, you would want to go the other way and lighten up the weights on the arms. So let's look at that real quick. So adding more weight to your arms, what does it do? It makes for a slightly quicker reaction time. Don't expect it to be any quicker. It is a little bit quicker, but you probably won't even see it. So that's the first thing that heavier weights do. The second thing is going to be that it loads the motor a lot harder. The third thing, it does not let the RPMs go as high as what they were, and it also shifts quicker. Okay, and then everything is the opposite if you go lighter. To slow down a reaction time a hair, not very much at all. It'll allow the clutch to slip a little bit more, so it's not going to load the motor as hard. The car's gonna go farther down track before it shifts, which means that your RPMs are going to be higher. One other thing, I get this once in a while. I'll have people saying, I got 6s on there, I got 7s, I got 8s, and a lot of times I'll have to explain to them that what I like to do is with the bolt, if you want to put a heavy weight like an 8 or a 9, put it on the head side of the bolt, not the nut side of the bolt. And the reason for that is, so let's say I have an 8 on the head side of the bolt, and on the nut side, I can change that out all day long really quickly, just by pulling the nut off. Pull the nut off, pull the weight off. Let's say I have an 8 and I'm loading it too hard. I can put a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6, a 7, anything I want on the other side, and not even have to take the whole bolt out of the roller, the washers, both weights. So you can run an 8 on one side and a 5 on the other, or an 8 and a 4, or a 7 and a 3. They don't have to be the same weights on the arm on both sides, but make sure that you do each arm the same way. You have an 8 over by the bolt, put an 8 over by the bolt on all 3, and then put your 3, your 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on the nut side. Later, we'll get into some other videos about what the ramps do, what the springs do, what the secondary does. I'll get into more videos on that. For now, I just wanted to talk about the weight. So hopefully this makes the muddy water a little bit clearer, and I didn't make it more complicated for you. So hope this information helps you guys out, and take care and have a great day, guys. See you now.